For now, going on a generation, we have been awash in a sea of moral relativism. Moral relativism, think of situation ethics. In other words, what is right or what is wrong is determined by the situation, not by any kind of moral absolutes. There are no moral absolutes. There aren't things in life that are just right because they're right and wrong because they're wrong. It always depends on the situation. It's always relative. Listen to philosopher Richard Rorty of one of our great universities. Why should I care about a stranger, a person who is no kin to me, a person whose habits I find disgusting? Now, how would you answer that question? Why should I care about a man in rags who's hungry, a complete stranger, no kin, no relation? His habits and lifestyle are disgusting to me. Why should I care about them? Well, moral relativism says there's absolutely no standard whatsoever in the universe that says you should. None. There are only circumstances that say you should. So if the circumstances are right, then you will care. If they aren't right, then you won't. That's what moral relativism does. Therefore, anyone who's in the help business, trying to help people, anyone who's in social business or social ministries and trying to help people, they find themselves constantly trying to motivate people. And they use emotion to motivate them. They'll give you pictures of hungry children trying to stir your heart. Or they'll tell you stories of gross injustice, trying to burn that sense of outrage in you. All of that is to try to motivate you to action. Because apart from circumstances that say you should, there's no reason in the universe why you should. None. Moral relativity. There are no absolutes. But agape says something else. Agape love says there are moral absolutes in the universe. There are things that are right, and they will always be right, and no circumstances will ever change that. And there are things that are wrong, and they will always be wrong, and no set of circumstances will ever change that. And the reason some things are right and some things are wrong is because God Almighty has said it is so. And the reason we ought to help that man who's of no kin to us, who we have no connection to, and his lifestyle is disgusting to us, is because God said we should. That's the reason why. Because of a moral absolute in the universe that says helping someone is good. It's right. It ought to be done. But moral relativism says no. Therefore, we have to try to motivate people, make them feel outraged, make you feel guilty. If I can make you feel guilty, then you'll write that check and you'll do something. Or, the other approach is to appeal to your sense of self. I can convince you that by helping the poor, it's going to make life better for you, then you'll help the poor. If I can convince you by logic and reasoning that if we can help enough poor people that it's going to improve the economy and make life better for all of us, then there's a logical reason why. But again, it's moral relativism. I'm doing it because of circumstances. This is going to be good for me and my family. Therefore, I'm going to do this. Not because of an absolute law, an absolute moral order of right and wrong. The second reason why we're not motivated is because moral relativism has been the philosophy for a generation or more. The second is because of moral relativism, no absolutes, we don't fear God. We don't fear God. How many of us will go through a day and see a situation where we could help someone, and that part of the thought process is, if I don't help this person, I'm going to anger God. I'm going to break one of his laws. And God's going to be angry at me. And there may be some consequences. I'm going to have to stand before God and give accountability. We don't think that way anymore. We no longer have a fear of falling into the hands of an angry God, because we don't believe there are absolute right and wrongs. We just feel guilty sometimes, and we'll help people enough to assuage our guilt. Or we get to thinking rationally about it, and we think this justifies my writing a check or volunteering because in the long run it's going to be good for me. It's going to be good for my family. It comes back to me. Well, let me suggest to you this morning 3 absolutes